Discovery Learning Centre Environment Series, Peter Lytton Hitchens revisits the Octoberfest site of Lower Trigg Hill on the 24th of March 2015, the Kentucky Learning Centre, New South Wales, Australia.
So you can see how healthy this beautiful wattle is. It's got this beautiful soft bright green colour in it, and it's just really now part of a little food forest for little native plants and insects and creatures. So it's going to start having seeds on it in the next 6 months. So it starts to provide a wonderful food source. It'll start flowering really well, and little creatures all start to be able to have it as part of their home. So at the moment, when we go in and have a look at the sap, you can see that there's quite a lot of sugary sap in the base, and there's lots of little ants going in there and utilising that sap as well. So if we just come in here and have a look in the trunk, So one thing to remember is when we're wanting to create a forest or we're wanting to rehabilitate land is that these pioneer plants are just so important. So when I say pioneer plants, they're the first plants that we put in to help rehabilitate the soil and rehabilitate the minerals that we have in the soil. So if we try and grow big eucalypts without actually having these guys, it's not ever going to be as effective. And the other thing that we forget is too, these plants are so important for creating food and habitat for wildlife and insects and creatures. So there's little creatures that are very hard to pick up on the camera that are scattered all through here, and they all got their own little thing that they're doing. They all have their own little life cycles that they go on. And if we're wanting birds and we're wanting wildlife in our environments, we need these guys. These guys are really important for that. So they provide seed and they provide homes for lots of little things that we forget and when we're very unaware of that are happening in our environment. So always important to remember that sometimes what we would deem boring plants, or often wattles are deemed as weeds in lots of parts of Australia, but these guys, they have a real use and a real purpose, and they are really important in just starting the whole process of getting land healthy again. So if we want land healthy, we're going to need pioneer plants like these beautiful wattles, and then we're going to need other plants to come in as well. But if we've got these, they are what's going to feed our big eucalypts that you can see behind you in a minute. They're what's going to give them the potential so that they can grow into their full heights and live a healthy, vibrant life in the future. Because without all the minerals and without all the nitrogen and fertility that these guys bring, they'll never do that. They'll always be a small tree. So with pioneer plants, one of the things that pioneer plants do first up is a lot of them are nitrogen fixers. So a lot of our pioneer plants, things like wattles and lucerne trees and any of your pea-type, legume-type plants, is that they're bringing a lot of nitrogen back into the soil, which is essential for tree growth or plant growth or grass growth. So they're really good at that. A lot of our other pioneer plants are really good at breaking up compacted soils. So the likes of fleabane, for instance, it's a taproot plant. So it's drilling down into this really hard compacted soil where you've had lots of sheep or lots of cattle squashing and compacting the soil over long periods of time. So things like your thistles, for instance, are another taproot plant that bring in lots of aeration into the soil, and also they bring in lots of mulch, like we said with the fleabane. Like these plants are generally often short cycled, so a lot of the wattles, they don't live for long periods of time. They're not a 100-year-old tree. They're generally a 5 to 15, 30-year cycle that a lot of these pioneer plants are on. And then obviously with our weeds, our pioneer weeds, often their cycle's only a year to 2 years. So as soon as the minerals are right and they've done their job, then there's no need for them to seed. So they'll still have all that seed bank in the soil, but they'll only actually germinate when the environment's right. And that's where one of the things we've done in agriculture is we've taken a lot of these seeds out of us, out of our land and out of our soil over a long period of time. So anytime it rains and all these seeds germinate, we then have sheep and cattle, livestock come in and eat them all. And that just means that the seed bank gets less and less over a period of time. And we're wanting, in these rehabilitated places, for all that seed to be able to be utilised and help the soil. So in a way, once we just do the initial startup, we're wanting the land to do most of the rehabilitation itself. So we just have to get the triggers and stimulation to get the initial stimulation. And once we've done that, then often land can actually do a lot of it itself, and we can actually let it do what nature intends. But sometimes, when the seed's all been taken out, so in the likes of these sort of areas that have been extremely eroded, so this particular site's been extremely eroded, all the seed banks often actually have been taken out. So if the seeds aren't there, then we've got to bring these guys in and rehabilitate through that way. And the first starting point with any rehabilitation process is to get the soil right. So instead of trying to plant things straight away, we need to get the soil right. And then once we got the soil right, we need to be working on the hydration of the soil as well, so that we can keep the soils moist. And one of the easiest ways to keep any soil moist is by having grass cover or ground cover. And really, whether it's a blackberry bush or it's grass or it's thistles or whatever, anything that's just covering the ground is actually doing a good job in the initial point. So the more bare our soils are, the more open to moisture loss and erosion, and also the wind blowing all our seed and all our soil away. So ground cover is really important. Whatever you do, you want to protect your ground cover, and you want to have as close to 100% ground cover at all times. And if you have that, that's a great starting point, because then we can start bringing in all the insects and the creatures that can utilise all that ground cover to create fertility back in the soil.